Hello. Most people want wisdom the way they want a good parking spot. They hope it just shows up right when they need it. But that's not how Proverbs 2 works. The chapter opens with a long conditional sentence. And before it tells you what wisdom gives you, it tells you what wisdom costs you. It costs you effort, attention, and a willingness to search. If you've ever made a decision you regret, stayed in something too long, trusted the wrong person, or wandered down a road that looked fine until it wasn't, then Proverbs 2 was written for you. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand something that changes the way you make decisions for the rest of your life. Welcome back to Proverbs for Modern Life. Today we're walking through Proverbs 2 in its entirety. It is one of the most structured chapters in all of Proverbs, and once you see the shape of it, you cannot unsee it. The chapter is essentially a long argument laid out in 3 moves. Here are the conditions. Here's what you find if you meet them, and here's what it protects you from. That's it. Let's go. The chapter opens with Solomon speaking to his son, but this is not just a father talking to a kid, but the teacher laying out terms. He says in verses 1 through 4, "My son, if you will receive my words and treasure my commandments within you, make your ear attentive to wisdom, incline your heart to understanding, for if you cry for discernment, lift your voice for understanding, if you seek her as silver and search for her as for hidden treasures." Notice what he's asking for. He's not asking you to stumble across wisdom. He's asking you to hunt for it. Treasure, seek, search. These are active words. The image he uses at the end of verse 4 is someone digging for silver, searching for hidden treasure. This is not a passive activity. This is someone on their hands and knees moving dirt, not stopping. Here's why this matters. Most of us approach wisdom like it is ambient. Like if we live long enough, make enough mistakes, read the right words, it will somehow accumulate. And to some degree that is true, but Proverbs 2 is not describing passive accumulation. It is describing a person who decides, I am going to pursue understanding the way other people pursue money, the way other people pursue status or security or pleasure. If you want to know why some people seem to consistently make better decisions, build better relationships, and avoid disasters that trap other people, this is it. They are not smarter, they are more deliberate. The question the first 4 verses put to you is simple. How much do you actually want this? Now comes the payoff. Verses 5 through 11 deliver the what if. Verses 1 through 4, which they were pointing toward. Then you will discern the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. This is the first and highest prize. Before wisdom gives you better judgment in relationships, before it gives you protection from bad decisions, before any of the practical benefits, it gives you this. You begin to understand who God is. The fear of the Lord is not terror, it is orientation. It is knowing your size relative to His. And Solomon says the person who hunts for wisdom, the way you hunt for silver, is going to find it. Then verse 6, for the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth comes knowledge and understanding. That line shifts everything. You thought you were hunting? Turns out the source of what you were hunting is a person, and that person is actively giving it. The search leads you to the giver. And then verses 10 and 11 describe what happens when wisdom actually takes root in you. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will guard you, understanding will watch over you. 2 words to catch here, guard and watch over. Wisdom is not described here primarily as a skill, it is described as a protector, something that stands between you and harm, which sets up the rest of the chapter perfectly. The second half of Proverbs 2 is specific. Solomon does not say, wisdom will protect you from bad things in general. He names 2 categories. The first is a crooked man, verses 12 through 15. To deliver you from the way of evil, from the man who speaks perverse things, from those who leave the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who delight in doing evil, and rejoice in the perverseness of evil, whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. Notice that the man in this passage is not a cartoonish villain. He is someone who used to walk straight and then didn't. Someone who refrained wickedness until it felt like freedom. Someone who celebrates crooked living. Wisdom protects you from following that path. More specifically, wisdom protects you from being seduced by the framing, because that is how it works. You do not usually see the end of a destructive road from the beginning. You see how it is framed. And wisdom gives you the ability to see through the frame. The second category is the forbidden woman, verses 16 through 19. To deliver you from the strange woman, from the adulteress who flatters her with her words, who leaves the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God, for her house sinks down to death and her tracks lead to the dead. Solomon is addressing his son, so the language is gendered, but the principle is universal. This is about any relationship built on flattery, deception, or covenant breaking. Any decision, connection that requires you to forget what you are bound to in order to keep pursuing it. Verse 17 is the key phrase. She forgets the covenant of her God. That is the diagnostic. Not this feels wrong. This requires me to forget what I know is true. In wisdom, the protector watches you out at exactly this point. It does not keep you from obviously bad choices. It keeps you from choices that are dressed up as good ones. The chapter closes with a contrast, 2 kinds of people and 2 outcomes. So you will walk in the way of the good men and keep to the path of the righteous. For the upright will live in the land, and the blameless will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be uprooted from it. The image here is land and uprootedness. The upright remain, the treacherous get uprooted. Solomon is drawing on the promised land imagery his audience knew, but there is a larger principle underneath it. The person who builds their life on wisdom has something to stand on. The person who ignores it keeps moving, keeps getting displaced, keeps losing ground. You probably know people like this. The one who has lived a certain way for decades and is something solid, and the one who is always starting over not because of bad luck, but because of a pattern. Wisdom is the difference. So let me bring this together. Proverbs 2 is a single unified argument, and the argument is this. Wisdom is available, but it is not automatic. It requires a decision to pursue it, and if you make that decision, you will find God at the source of it. You will develop wisdom that guards you, and the judgment will protect you from the 2 most common ways people wreck their lives, following their own crowd, making promises you are never supposed to make. Here's a question to sit with this week. In what area of your life are you hoping wisdom just shows up? When have you actually been searching for it? When you have not been actually searching for it. Maybe it is a relationship, a career decision, a financial pattern, a habit. Whatever it is, the chapter is saying start digging. Call for discernment. Lift your voice for understanding. And the God who gives wisdom will meet you there. If this was helpful, share it with someone who is in the middle of a hard decision right now. That is exactly the kind of message that lands differently when you're actually in it. Drop a comment below with the area of your life where you're most actively seeking wisdom right now. I read those. Next week, we are continuing in Proverbs, so if you're not subscribed, hit that button, and I'll see you then.